Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Starcraft 2. So, as I'm playing through the campaign, I am realizing that I am going way too fast. I'm not explaining the mechanics very well at all, and I want to try to remedy that. So, having had some experience in Starcraft 2, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of what most of the mechanics are, and I wanted to take some time to briefly explain as many of them as I can to you, and if I forgot some, that's fine. I'll make a follow-up video including additional mechanics down the line. So, yeah, with that said, let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, first let's talk about the StarCraft 2 interface, starting with the top right corner of the screen. So up in the top right corner of the screen, you've got your 3 resources in the game. Yes, there are 3. There are 2 that you mine, minerals, and Vespene gas. The third resource is called supply. The number on the left is how much supply you are currently using. The number on the right is the maximum supply that you can support. You can increase your supply by building structures that increase your supply. As Terran, that would be supply depots. As Zerg, that would be overlords. And as Protoss, that would be pylons. Within a game, or within a standard game, the maximum supply that you can possibly have is up to 200. Moving on to the bottom left, you've got the minimap. The minimap is extremely important because it gives you a lot of high-level information very quickly. It also allows you to navigate around the map very quickly. So for example, if I wanted to navigate over to this base over here, I could scroll all the way over there by holding at the edge of my screen, but that's slow and inaccurate. Instead, I can click where I want to go, and the camera will jump right where I want it to go. The minimap is also really helpful in being able to see incoming aggression. If you have scouts around the map, and you're playing against someone who wants to attack you from multiple directions, you'll be able to see those attacks from multiple directions coming before they hit you, as long as you have the vision on the minimap. The vision that you can see either on the camera or on the minimap is highlighted, and the areas that you cannot see are darker. That's called the fog of war. You cannot see what is going on in the fog of war. You have to send someone out in order to see it. Or you need to use abilities in order to see it, such as a Terran scan. Yeah, such as a Terran scan. So as you can see, as I'm going around, the area is highlighting. You can also see areas that you've previously scouted. So the fog of war has returned, but it's a little bit brighter on the minimap, indicating that I have been there before. Coming to the center. The center is, I'm not quite sure what it's called, at least what the official name of this is. This is basically your status area. So when you select a given unit, like this SCV here, you can see its hit points, how much hit points it currently has left versus the maximum it can have. Its upgrades, right now I don't have any upgrades, either attack or defense. The unit's type, so an SCV for example is a light, biological, and mechanical unit. And you can see the name. If you have multiple units selected, like all of these SCVs, you can see the number that you have. There's also multiple pages that you can have. So if you have a lot of units selected, you'll be able to select across the multiple pages. You can also use this to perform several tricks, such as sending a bunch of SCVs different directions. So for example, I select these 5 SCVs here. If I want to send one SCV here, one SCV here, one SCV here, one SCV here, and one SCV here, you can use this screen to help you do that quickly. So rather than selecting one at a time, go, one at a time, go, one at a time, go, you're going to have all 5 selected, tell all 5 of them to go, hold down shift and left click to deselect one, tell the rest go here, shift click, tell the rest to go here, shift click, tell the rest to go here, shift click, tell the last one to go there, and now they're all going at roughly the same time. So that kind of thing is extremely helpful for being able to send out multiple units in different directions in a very short amount of time. The final area here on the right is the command card. The command card is an area where you can click on things in order to do things, but do not click the command card. Instead, learn the hotkeys. The command card will tell you what letter to press in order to perform an action on the command card. So if I have an SCV selected here, I can click here to build, and then click here for command center, and then place. Or I can select an SCV, push B to build, push C for command center, and place. And when you get used to the hotkeys, things will go much faster. Above the center panel are the control groups. So you can see I already have a few control groups there, and I'll explain control groups in a little bit. Above your minimap, there are two cards. You have the idle worker card, which tells you how many idle workers you have, and as you click on that card, it will jump around to the various idle workers that are there. This card is the Select Army Units card, and this will select every single army unit that you have. I do not currently have any, so let's build a couple. Okay, fantastic. We have two Marines, Marine 1, Marine 2. The Select Army Units hotkey, well not hotkey, card, allows you to select all of your army units all at once. So if I have a building selected or an SCV selected or just one Marine selected, if I want to select all of my army all at once, I can click this card and all of my army is selected regardless of whether they're on hotkeys or not. Very helpful if you need to clump all your army together, get everything organized, selected. It also tells you how many army units you have. I've got 2 Marines. Over here, we have the help menu, we have the chat, we have the social, and we have the main menu, which is also opened up by F10. When you hover over the menu button, you can see your local time, your wireless signal, if you're using Wi-Fi, which in my case I am, and the frame rate that you currently have. And that is the user interface of Starcraft 2. Okay, next let's talk about hotkeys. So, there are several types of hotkeys. You have the hotkeys that are available here in the command card. So for example, if I click the command center, I can push S to build an SCV. I could push B in order to upgrade it into an orbital command. I can push P to upgrade it into a planetary fortress. If I have an SCV selected, I can push B for building normal structures, or I can push V for building advanced structures. While selecting a unit, such as a Marine, you also have several different moves over here as well. You've got M for move, which is also done by right-clicking. You've got S for stop, which just makes them stop what they're doing, and they will attack anything within their range. So a Marine is a ranged unit. It will stop, and it will stand here, and if a unit gets within range, it will shoot. You've got hold, which will make the Marine continuously stay here. And again, it will shoot anything that's in range. You have patrol, which will make the Marine patrol back and forth. And if anything comes within range of the Marine during its patrol, it will shoot. And then finally you have attack or a move. And that tells the Marine to go somewhere, and if there's anything that is bad in the way between here and there, the Marine will shoot. You can also attack move your own buildings if you would like to by pushing A and left clicking on your building. And you will attack your own building and deal damage. A lot of units also have abilities as well. In the case of the Marine, for example, you can push T in order to activate Stim Pack. So go through all of the different units that you have, play around with the various hotkeys down here in the command card as well as your buildings, and anything else that you would like. The command card has many hotkeys. The next set of hotkeys that are available would be your control groups. Your control groups are ways for you to organize your buildings, your structures, and your units into various ways for very quick and easy access. So for example, let me go ahead and let's say for example you've got these 2 bases here, right? You've got 2 command centers. You want to manage them both at the same time. What you can do is you can grab a command center, press Control 1 in order to add it to Control Group 1. Select the second command center, push Shift 1 to add it to that Control Group 1, and now you have both command centers on Control Group 1. Now you can push 1 to select both command centers at the same time. So you have this Marine selected, and you want to select both command centers, even if you're way far away on the map. You can push 1, now both command centers are selected, and now if you want to build SCVs out of both command centers, you can push SCV, SCV, and you can see here, 2 SCVs have now been queued up. You can queue up as many as you like, up to 5 per building. You can also use this to organize your units. So again, we have 2 Marines here, right? Marine 1 and Marine 2. Again, we can push Control 2 to add this Marine to Control Group 2. We can select this Marine, press Shift 2 to add him to Control Group 2 as well. We can select our command centers, select our Marines, move our Marines around in a group. But now let's say, for example, we want this Marine to be in its own control group and we no longer want him in Control Group 2. If I were to push Control 3, you can see we've created Control Group 3, but he's still in Control Group 2. So you can resolve that by selecting the other Marine and pushing control group 2 in order to remove the other Marine. But that can be a little clunky at times. So let's go ahead and add these guys back to control group 2. Let's say I want this Marine in control group 3 and not in control group 2. You can use the Alt key to do that. So let's push Alt 3, and now it's created control group 3 with this Marine and removed this Marine from control group 2. A lot of people refer to that as control group stealing. I have stolen this Marine from control group 2 and put him in the control group 3. You can combine Alt and Shift in order to add units to a control group and steal them from other control groups that they may be in. So Alt, Shift, number. Now using these control groups allows you to very quickly and easily manage what is going on. I can be having Marines over here. I can send these Marines out to attack. And while they're out here attacking, while I'm managing my Marines, let's say I need to build SCVs back home because you want to keep building workers. You need to mine resources. So while I'm attacking, I can push 1 to select my command centers, SCV, 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 and then keep managing my Marines. You can double tap control groups in order to jump the camera to the control group. So I can double tap 1 to jump to my closest command center. I can double tap 2 to jump back to my Marines.
Mineral field depleted.
The final hotkey type I want to talk about are camera location hotkeys. So open up your menu by pressing F10. Go to Options, go to Hotkeys, go to Global, go into Camera, and down here you're going to have Create Location 1 through Create Location 8, and you're going to have Jump Location 1 to Jump Location 8. The default settings for these are stupid. I highly recommend you change them to something that you're comfortable with. Many players use Control plus the F keys in order to create the locations. For me, Shift is a little bit easier to reach than Control for my pinky, so I use Shift. Shift plus F1 to create camera location 1 through Shift F8 to create camera location 8. And then you can set the jump to location to the F keys in order to be able to simply just tap the F key to jump to the camera location. This will unbind some of the other actions that some of these F keys are tied to. That is okay. The things that it will unbind are going to be the select army units, this icon that we already talked about over here. This normally has a hotkey to it. Doing what I just showed you will remove the hotkey from it, but that's okay. You're not going to want to use this card very much. Same thing with the idle worker. This has a hotkey associated to it normally, but I've unbound it, and again, that's okay. You're not going to interact with this card too often. These other unbound hotkeys are a result to some of my other hotkey customizations, so don't worry about those. Now, what are camera location hotkeys? Let me jump back to the game here. Let's say I want to be able to jump to my main base here at any point in time, right? So that way I can grab SCVs, build barracks, build factories, that kind of thing, right? So let's say I want to be able to jump back here really easy. But if I'm not here managing my Marines and I double tap 1, it's going to jump to my closest command center. It's not going to jump back to my main base. So you can resolve that by using location hotkeys. The way that you can do that is you can jump down here, select your command center. You can even, if it's already in control group, double tap it to center it. And then in my case, Shift plus F1 to set the location. You can set a location anywhere where your camera is at. So I've just set a location to the command center here. You can also set locations elsewhere, like maybe on this ramp, for example. So Shift F2. Now, if I want to jump back to my main base from my Marines, I can simply tap F1 and now I'm back. If I want to jump to that ramp, I can simply tap F2 and I'm back. So, camera locations. They're extremely helpful for all 3 races. They're especially helpful with Zerg. When I go over different inject methods, you'll find out why. So, those are the various hotkey types. Okay, let's go over shift queuing commands. So, for any unit that you select, you can shift queue various actions. For example, if you have an SCV like a worker, you can have the worker do a command, and then while holding shift, give it another command and it will do that command. Shift commands can be very simple things like, hey, go over here, and then go over here, and then go over here, by holding shift and then right-clicking where you want it to go, and it will go to all 3 locations sequentially. They can be a little bit more complex too. I can say, hey, build a supply depot, so B, S for supply depot, and when you're done, I want you to go back and mine minerals. So you can shift right-click the minerals, and then when he's done building the supply depot, he'll go back and mine minerals. You can do that you can also do that with multiple units at the same time. So if I want these two SCVs to build a barracks and a supply and a starport, and then I want them to go back and mine resources, I can also hold shift and right click. And then when they're done building their buildings, they'll go back and mine resources. Shift queuing, extremely helpful, especially with Terran and managing SCVs. You can also do the same thing with your Marines or with your other combat units. If you want to scout multiple locations, right? Again, shift attack moving will be really helpful. I want to scout this base and this base and this base. So I can select my Marines, push A. You can use the mini-map to issue commands. So while holding shift, left click, you're still giving attack commands, left click, left click. And now if we select the Marines, we can see the indicators where they're going to go. You can see the red line indicating attack move. They're going to go here, continue to attack move this direction and go up here, continue to attack move and go up this direction. So that way we'll eventually get all three of these bases scouted. Shift queuing commands. Try it out with all sorts of different stuff. And those are just a couple of tips and tricks that will take you guys a long way in your game and give you guys a lot more understanding in terms of what I'm doing while I'm playing the campaign. Thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day.